Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to episode number 6 to the Mary and Sam Show. So I want to thank everyone for watching, obviously, and we appreciate all the nice messages we get on Facebook, either private or on the comments section. So we really appreciate your support. Today we're going to be talking about an important topic, which is depression and how it affects people, and what are some of the things that we can do to hopefully mitigate or lessen the causes of depression. It's a very important topic. So, Mary, why don't you tell us some things about depression?
Depression obviously is a very serious topic, and according to World Health Organization, 300 million are affected by it, and Americans are affected by it. That's 11% of Americans.
Wow.
And the alarming news is that amongst women between ages 40 and 50, 25% of Americans are affected by depression.
Wow, that's 1 in 4. That's a lot of people.
Yes. And it's a subject that is, again, it's dear to my heart because it does show up in a lot of people's lives. And depression doesn't have to be something that, obviously, according to psychiatrists, it's an illness. It's a state of being sad. But some people, we could be sad for a short amount of time, maybe for 5 minutes. And that sometimes people say like, oh, I feel depressed about something that is not going right in their life. And sometimes we could feel sad for days, for weeks, for months. And obviously, some people feel sad for years.
Ooh.
And that's obviously clinically depressed, and people are under medication. And to my surprise, people that I coach in my practice, most people that I coach are business owners and entrepreneurs, and they come to grow their business. But we do spend a large amount of time with mental health because they do reveal, most people, I don't know the percentage yet, that they are taking some type of antidepressant medication.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. There's a lot of people that I know that are on these kinds of medicines like Zoloft, and I forget some of the other names, but we just call them happy pills, right?
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people are getting into these kinds of medicines that are being recommended by doctors. And of course, we're not doctors and we're not claiming to be. However, I think that there's an over prescription of also this type of medication because certainly it never reaches the root cause of what's going on, and it's only treating the symptom. So basically, it's just medicating it, making you sort of numb to what you're feeling. And oftentimes, more than not, there's something really underlying that's going on. And so we need to be mindful of that. And, if you're on meds, please stay on them, talk to your doctor and make sure everything is good. However, if you think that there might be an opportunity for you to work on trying to figure out what's causing it versus just the treatment of it and numbing yourself, then I think that might be a good alternative for you to talk about.
And specifically, we wanted to talk about on this show that if your partner's depressed, and it's going to obviously affect your life, your children's life if you have, and your work life, and all around, and it doesn't feel good when your partner is down and depressed and you're not. And as a partner, you want to do something, you want to help your partner to feel good, and it could be very frustrating if you don't know what to do and somebody's stuck with that depression and they've been taking medication for years, and maybe it's making you feel better, but it will never make you feel well. So because you never go to the bottom of the issues to identify what's causing depression for you as an individual. And here's I'm going to go into a common sense corner here. It's that depression, the root cause of depression is when you are thinking about something that happened in the past.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Because when I ask clients, so you're depressed, what are you depressed about? What are you thinking most of the time? Now, this is where you need to be aware of your own thought process. What is it thinking? Because it's your mind, body, and soul. so you can separate yourself and start to realize, what am I thinking about that happened in the past? Maybe something happened, maybe a traumatic event, maybe you lost somebody, maybe you lost a relationship through a bad divorce, maybe you lost a loved one, maybe you lost your job, and maybe you failed at something,
Oh yeah.
All of these things contribute towards depression because you're feeling down about something and it happened in the past, and the mind keeps taking you thinking about the past. And the bad part is that we as human beings cannot fix the past. So
Yeah.
if you keep thinking about it, the mind keeps thinking about that incident because emotionally you're connected to that. And then, so what's the likelihood of, if I tell you a sad story right now, right? Where am I taking your brain to think about? That's why watching sad news for people that are depressed are horrible things, because it makes you feel even more sad.
Well, this reminds me of someone that's near and dear to me, and they're constantly watching the news, and CNN. So basically, Crisis News Network. That's
Yeah.
what it stands for.
Of course.
And the only thing that really sells news is bad news, because you never hear anything good on the news. And as a result, if you're depressed, like Mary was saying, obviously this is going to bring you more anxiety. You're going to look for more things that are wrong with the world rather than what's right with the world. So really, it's important to cut out all types of negative media, even watching things like TV that is violent or that something bad is happening. That's just going to trigger in your mind things that you're already probably thinking about, right? I remember back in the day, my grandmother, she used to be afraid of things, and then she would watch this one show that was always showing how people got murdered and stuff.
Yeah.
And she was always saying, well, I'm afraid when I'm home alone. Well, right? I mean, you're watching all of these shows on these murder mysteries, and obviously that's not going to play well for you when you're home alone. So I'm just giving you an example of something personal.
Well, speaking of that, study shows that whatever you watch today, your mind is going to replay that for the next 24 to 48 hours. So when you go to sleep, the
Yeah.
brain is thinking about that.
Oh yeah,
Right,
for
for
sure.
the next 24 hours, that's what the brain is going to get occupied with. So what you feed in your brain is very important. Let's go back to, what causes depression and how the mind focuses on the past. And some people, so whatever happened in the past, they're thinking about, and what they're doing is they're really connecting with that feeling. So for example, if somebody's talking about, I lost my husband a few years ago, right? And this person keeps talking about it, and this person cries and says how great of a person he was and all the things he did. So you're indulging with that feeling of sadness. So you're feeling important, and it gives you the highest amount of certainty.
Right.
Because on the flip side, how can you make yourself get well from depression is ultimately focus about future. What do you want out of life, right? So because the future is so uncertain and makes you feel vulnerable, and it's unknown, it's scary, what happens? We go back to the past.
Right.
Because that's the comfort level. People feel that that's very comfortable for them to talk about their pain, and they feel important through those stories. So because future is very scary, very vulnerable, people don't know what's gonna bring. So then going back, it's a lot easier to talk about the past because they're used to that.
Yeah, I mean, it gives them significance, right? I mean, obviously, people that talk about what went wrong in their life, it makes them feel important through actually their misery, and keep repeating it. And unfortunately, anybody who's going to live in the past is going to keep replaying the same movie over and over and over and over again. And that's not going to be any progress for you, ultimately. This whole show, all we talk about is how can we get better?
Yeah.
How can we elevate ourselves? One of the things that I remember when I had my first coach, I kind of asked her, I remember her very vividly, her name was Carla, and I said, what's the difference between, a psychologist, psychiatrist, and like a coach? Or what do you...
That's a good question.
Yeah. And Carla said something very interesting to me. she said that if you, we have in psychology what they call, there's like a baseline of where you should be operating at a normal level. And then
for everyday life.
For everyday life, yeah. So if we call that this midline, the normal area where you should be operating in your psyche, that's normal. And then those people that are below the line, that's when really psychologists, they're there to help you get to a normal.
Yeah. Normal being that you get up, you go to work, you have a healthy lifestyle, you work out,
Yeah. And then I said, well, then what's coaching? And then she said, well, coaching is to get you above and be performing at a higher level. And so really, that's kind of what we're talking about is, look, everybody's on a different spectrum of where you are in this. Hopefully, you're near normal, or you're going above normal, trying to be more high performance, and that's what we're talking about. So I think that there's a lot of things you can do, but I was looking at some things before we got on the show, some things to help you feel better. Certainly exercise is one of them. Watching happy things, comedies and things like that will make you feel better. Spending time with your loved ones will make you feel better. Can you think of some more things?
Oh, definitely. Well, step number 1 is that you must embrace what happened in the past. Whatever that thing happened in the past, you need to embrace that and say, well, that happened, and I accept that, and I can't change that. Now I need to move forward. Right? I remember one of my really good friends in Virginia, her husband went through a really, really bad accident and he got paralyzed. And I was on the phone with her and I'm thinking like if this was me, oh my gosh, what do you go through thinking that your husband just got into a car accident and then he's paralyzed? I said, how did you handle? How are you doing? You know what she told me? I will never forget. She said, I accept it, that it happened. Now, if somebody else on the flip side, they're depressed, they're not going to accept this, what they're going to do is blame circumstances or even say that God is punishing me. And that's a worse thing, to think that what's happening to you is because God is making that happen to you.
Oh, yeah.
It's a worse place because it's a very deep-rooted belief system, because God has given us the power to have the brain, to be happy, and has given you the body to go and exercise, and giving you the power to think for yourself.
Right.
Because, and I have another coaching client that she went through a horrible, horrible set of experiences. She lost her mom when she was young. She lost her brother and her sister in a car accident, and constantly things are happening to her. And she comes on the coaching calls. She talks about the past, but only if it's making her feel bad. But she keeps focusing into the future. What do I want? How can I change my life? Right. It's all about the belief system, right?
Exactly.
It's what belief you have. Or somebody else focusing on, oh, it's just a bad luck. It happened to me because it's a bad luck. So that makes you put in a position of, I have no control of changing my life.
Right. Anytime you play that victim, I think you give up control.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that I know that they just want to play that victim card, Oh, poor me, it happened to me.
Right.
My life sucks, God hates me.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just an unlucky person.
Yeah.
Truth be told, the only reason you're unlucky is because you're choosing to accept that circumstance and not move forward.
Yes, not moving forward.
Yeah.
So going back to the solution, first you have to accept whatever happened in the past. You need to accept that it happened and you cannot change the past. Second step is you need to focus on, okay, is this something you need help with? If you need the help of somebody like a psychologist, and here's what we can talk about briefly. You mentioned about the difference between a coach, a psychologist, and maybe a mentor.
Sure.
Now, a psychologist or a psychiatrist is someone that is going to help you go heal from the past. And that's what their job is to do. They focus deeply into the past. Now, a coach is someone who's going to bring you to the present moment and take you forward into the future to accomplish and set goals and go after what you want, right? Mm-hmm. And a mentor is someone that they have lived a life by success, they've done something successfully, And then they're gonna share that model with you. Says, here's the formula, go apply it. They're not responsible for holding you accountable or taking action. So if you're someone that you think you cannot do it by yourself and you need help, then you need to think about, do you need a coach? Do you need a psychologist? Who do you need?
Right.
Because that's the most important step.
Yep.
And then the second step is that you need to know what fears are holding you back. Because ultimately, if the future is unknown, how many people know if the future is really, like if they say, this is exactly what I want and this is my future is going to be. People say, I don't know. It's unknown.
Right.
They're not clear about that.
There's a good thing about this. They say the past is history. Mm-hmm. The future is mystery. Uh-huh. That's why they call the present moment.
Present moment.
The present.
Yeah.
Because it's a gift.
Yes.
Be in the moment.
Be in the moment, and at least you can plan your future, and that's all you could do to go after what you want. And when you do that, you're gonna forget about the past because you are building your life based on hope and setting some goals to go after it.
Right.
So that's my recommendation for people if they're feeling down and depressed. And I don't care what people say, there's always a reason why someone's depressed. And some people are not willing to go deep enough because they're afraid what they're going to open up might jeopardize their relationship right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can see where that's going.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other thought process you want to share?
No, that's all I have for today.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And what are we going to talk about next week?
Oh, this is a good one. Actually, next week we're going to talk about sex and why it's such a taboo. So we're going to talk about, why it's actually important. So please tune in next time to the Mary and Sam Show. And again, we'd love to hear your comments. You can also email us at marys@marynawabi.com. Go check out our website, marynawabi.com, if you'd like. Facebook, message us. Please write comments. Share with your friends. Anybody who can visit the show and it'd be helpful to them, please share it with them.
And
right?
we are getting tons of positive feedback. I'm getting tons of messages, people that are saying that it's actually helping me, it's making me realize. And that's all we want to do is create a self-realization that you can go and get what you want in life.
All right. Well, thank you very much for watching. We appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you later.
All right.